Perfect. Okay, thank you. Good morning, good afternoon for everyone. Before start, I would like to, I'm super glad to announce that we have finally a new implementation working group, civil society co-chair, she is Larissa, and she will moderate this session, and she will stay with us at least 1 year more, working with us, moderating this session and supporting all the members of the implementation working group. Larissa is a political scientist, research associate at the United Nations University, Electronic Governance and Cyber Bricks, School of Law of Fundación Getúlio Vargas. She will moderate in this session today. We are very happy to have her in our group because she is amazing and she has a lot of experience working in open data with government, and of course with very great experience working in the academy and in the research work. So Larissa, welcome to our group, and the floor is yours to moderate the session.
Thank you, Mercedes. Thank you, everybody. So I'm very honored to support the implementation working group, civil society as a co-chair. It's an opportunity to improve and to impact people, communities, and governments with data, through data, technology, and innovation. As Mercedes told, I'm a political scientist. I'm working at NIU, also another foundation in Brazil. I hope that I can use my experience and my current projects on data governance at the local level, cybersecurity, data protection, support our partnerships and you. Don't hesitate to contact me for any discussion or activity. It'll be great to work with you. Shall we start our presentation today? I'm very happy that you have a very nice, good speakers here. Let me introduce our first speaker, Maria Alexandra. Maria Alexandra is from Brazil. Maria Alexandra is a coordinator of technology and governments at Getúlio Vargas Foundation in Brazil. She has accumulated more than 20 years as a teacher in research in electronic government, public informatics, information society, public administration, and technology management. Please, Maria Alexandra, feel free to share your presentation and start. Thank you.
Thank you, Larissa. Good morning, or good afternoon, good evening. I don't know the locations where you are now. So before I start, I want to thank Larissa and the organizers for the opportunity to speak at this meeting. I'm going to share my presentation. I will try to do this. I believe it's easy, so. And there we are. Allow me to introduce myself. Larissa has already introduced me, but I would like to say that I've been working at Fundação Getúlio Vargas, a university. And are you seeing my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I believe that
Sorry, Franco, can you mute yourself because I can't do it? Or sorry, I heard some noise. Vero, can you mute the microphone? The microphone's open because I think that.
And are you seeing my Yeah. Shall I go? I believe it's my voice.
Sorry. Yeah, I think that I hear your voice in other microphone. I don't know why. I heard an audio in another. Try now, please.
Yes, let's go. So, well, I lost the time, but I think 2 more minutes, 1 more minute. So my topic today is open data in Brazil, but I will describe the project I've been leading in Brazil for 4 years, and it's named Waterproofing Data, Engaging Stakeholders in the Sustainable Governance of Flood Risks for Urban Resilience. Before I start, or before I talk about the project, I'd like to show a small Brazilian the Brazilian landscape, or the Brazilian open data landscape. Open initiatives in Brazil are started 10 or 50 have started 10 or 50 years ago, and Brazil has achieved enormous advances in open data. These initiatives have left a legacy of access to information, of institutional structure to answer information requests, a lot of databases in different areas like health, education in cities, urban mobility with open data in real time, data about enterprises and business, and thousands of different open data databases. But it's also true that these initiatives in recent years have slowed down, and we are seeing some decreases in available data. Or better, the databases are still there, but they are not updated. Not anymore. So this is the landscape, and let's move to the project. The project is a partnership between academic partners, government partners, and funders. A lot of partners, but I would like to emphasize the University of Glasgow, the National Center for Disasters in Brazil, the FGV, the university or the institution where I am a professor, the Warwick University and Heidelberg University, some Brazilian governments and some institutions. And we, during the project, our goal was to answer this question, how to rethink flood to enable transformations to build sustainable flood resilient communities. In other words, more simple words, we wanted to know how can data generation, circulation, and usage be an opportunity for empowerment and as well as urban knowledge production. We the objectives of the project were to develop 3 innovate interdisciplinary methods, but we wanted to make visible how stakeholders engage with data. We wanted to engage citizens to produce, circulate, embed data, and we want to integrate citizen-generated data with our other sources to support decision and policy making. But I want to draw your attention to this figure, because here we can see the flood data flow, the data flowing from the centers of expertise, the national centers of the internet or the international centers, and the data flowing to local governments and to the population, for instance, alerts. And at the same time, we have bottom-up data flowing to demands or user experiences or citizens' experiences, flowing from the local level or the citizen level to to governments or to the centers of expertise, expert centers, and then influencing public policies. This is the flow, but there are breaks on this flow, and the information and the data don't flow as they could. So this is the same flow in the other way, but we, in our project waterproofing data, we developed an app, a dashboard, and pollination activities to increase resilience in flood areas, flood risk areas. The citizens, they upload data from manual rain gauges. They inform rain intensity. They take pictures of flooded areas, and they upload information on water level. And all these data are uploaded in a dashboard that is merged with the government databases, open data government databases, and from these databases there are pluviometric data, flood risk areas, and weather forecast to the citizens. We implement a project in 5 Brazilian states, 9 cities in Brazil. We had 21 pollinators, people that were conducting the activities and supporting the citizens. And we had more than 150 citizens, what we call citizen scientists, students, community members, people from the communities, and they were all reporting data. This is the app, the interface. It's really simple and was designed with the people. We developed as well a guide to teachers to provide content about floods and citizen science and activities to be used in classes. And this is some data, some screens of the dashboards providing local information for the local level, but also in the national level. It was a challenge to provide these 2 kinds of information levels. Well, what we saw in the project is that there were impacts in the perceived risk knowledge. We measured and we saw that the people, they increased their knowledge about the risk and risk knowledge, flood risk. But what I believe it's more important is that our mobile app has been used after the project pilot to record daily rainfall. And it was our project pilot was developed between October and October 2021 and September to December. And in May 22, there was a period of intense rains in Pernambuco state. The people continuing to use the app, and they had uploading the rainfall measures, and they had intense damages in the areas of project, but no deaths. And in that area, in the other communities in that specific area, unfortunately, we had more than 200 deaths. So it was an important measure of impact of our project. We were not there anymore, but they used the app, they used the dashboard, they gave the alerts, and they removed people from the houses. So to conclude, we have a lot of open databases, but we need that there is an urgent need to create data about these risks of extreme weather events, especially in vulnerable neighborhoods. And community-based climate adaptation action could prevent deaths and reduce impacts on communities. We saw that engaging school students in citizen science can increase their awareness of flood risks. They were really intense in alerting the people and in put them in safe places. Engaging schools and local protection agencies in citizen science and observation networks can contribute to adaptation and disaster risk reduction. And we saw that school communities and disaster risk reduction agencies can engage in citizen science initiatives for climate adaptation with the support of the educational resources we develop in the waterproofing data project. Well, I have just 10 minutes, so thank you. And I'll be glad to answer your questions after the other presentations.
Thank you, Maria Alexandra. Waterfield Data Project is an important innovative project. As you emphasize, the project promotes citizen participation through the generated circulation data. And I guess that the citizen data, it's kind of integrate assets that with another source for decision making that you can that you should reflect how the data practice can support open data with a purpose and regarding use open data. So to ask the participation for our next speaker, you introduce Ben. Ben is a leader developer of data and technology strategy and civic literacy initiative and SmartCT. Ben also is an expert in skills and training resource of technology and data for social welfare, and expert in geospatial space. So your turn. Thank you, Ben. You can start.
Thank you. There. I hope everyone can hear me well and see my screen. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or in my case, somehow late evening to everyone joining us today. Thank you for being here. I'm going to share about Smart City's approach to helping build smart communities by being open by design and putting communities at the forefront. First, let me reintroduce myself. My name is Pintor. I'm an open data and open geospatial advocate from the Philippines. I'm the co-founder of Smart City. I have an open data and open geospatial consulting, and I'm also a co-founder of the Civic Literacy Initiative, where we're a new nonprofit aimed at improving the level of data literacy across the globe by equipping skills and also supporting both funders and civic organizations in making the best use of data. As much as I can, I also try to take an active role in the open communities that I'm part of. I'm currently a mentor for the humanitarian OpenStreetMap team mentorship program. Earlier this year, I did a fellowship with Open Climate, and I'm a charter member for the Open Source Geospatial Foundation. You can learn more about the work I do at these links and the QR code, but mostly for the next few minutes, I will be sharing what we do at Smart City. So you might be asking yourself, what is Smart City? Well, we are a data and tech nonprofit based here in the Philippines. Our goal is to help build smart, sustainable, ethical, and equitable communities. To do this, we acknowledge the role of data and tech, especially open data and open tech. But that does not necessarily mean that we are a purely tech organization. In fact, a lot of the work that we do not revolve around tech at all, but on communities and citizens. This means that most of the time when building solutions, we try to put people and communities first, making sure that we engage them early and often. We utilize user and people-centered design, and we acknowledge that in a complex and multi-stakeholder environment, there are inherent power structures, power relations, and inequalities involved among the stakeholders that need to be addressed. And in terms of solutions, we focus on being open by design. We use and advocate for open data, open source, open standards, and we also try to be open and transparent in our approaches. Now, whenever I share about our approach, I always tend to show this slide. It says that a simple tool that many people can use is better than a complex tool that only a few can master. This has become a sort of philosophy and guiding principle in the kind of work that we actually do. For example, one of the things that we focus on is building and bridging communities. You see, in the Philippines, and probably also in your countries, there are actually a lot of smart city projects, data science projects, urban tech projects. Here we have a very vibrant and diverse open mapping community, data community, etc. However, we found out that these projects and communities are often in silos and they rarely communicate with one another. This is unfortunate because we are, unable to learn from each other's shortcomings, benefit from each other's successes, or even just share best practices and experiences. When, if you think about it, we're all working towards the same goal, right? At Smart City, we believe that no single organization, technology, or point of view has the monopoly for solutions, which is why it's important for us to actually bring people together. Last year, when we were finally able to do face-to-face events, in partnership with the Friedrich Naumann Foundation, we engaged thought leaders, transport advocates, and mobility experts to discuss and brainstorm new and creative solutions to use data for solving mobility challenges in our cities. You see them here discussing and presenting their solutions. And earlier this year, we also celebrated Open Data Day by highlighting open data and AI initiatives to reduce traffic in our country. Several speakers from across the spectrum, the government, private sector, research and academia, and civil society were able to provide us with valuable insights into the role of open data and AI in the work that they do. Some presentations that we had were from the Department of Transportation, talking about strategies on smart mobility and sustainable transport in Davao City. Mega World Corporation, a large real estate company in the Philippines, sharing their strategy for mobility within their townships. Safe Travel PH, talking about their work promoting safe and sustainable mobility options. And the Bike Scouts, which are a social platform for volunteer cyclists who provide essential services during disasters and crisis. In fact, I want to share a few slides from the presentations of the Bike Scouts. First, they talk about human context being important. Data in the Philippines, probably also in your places, is often used to justify a regulatory approach. What's meant by this is that there are instances when someone comes along already having a conclusion in mind about how to solve a problem. And what they do is essentially ask a consultant, hire a consultant to get the data that will support their conclusion. I know that we all know, I think, that shouldn't be the case. But I'm sure that we are not alone in terms of that experience. Data, especially good quality data, should be the basis of our conclusions, right? And not the other way around. The second thing that really hit in their presentation is that data is only half the story. The other half is all about human experience. The Bike Scouts work during disasters and crisis, often being the first people at ground zero. And in that environment, data is chaotic and constantly changing. The places that need help will move even before the government comes or the help comes. What's constant there is not data, but the people. In line with that, we also help manage and facilitate the Philippine Booster Grants for OpenStreetMap as Smart City. We were able, this project was able to support several mini projects in the Philippines that added valuable points of interest and even road network data, as well as support conferences and community gatherings in our country. So aside from building and bridging communities, the second thing that we do is we invest in data literacy. Because of the ubiquity of data, how it's embedded in our lives, we believe that data literacy has also become synonymous with our ability to effectively participate in today's society. It's an indispensable skill that allows us to navigate society where data has become a key element in any of our interactions, be it physical, but more so digital. So Smart City, we build people's data literacy. This means not only empowering them with data skills, but more importantly, creating a shared understanding among people about what data is, why it's important, how it affects them, and providing them with the confidence to interact and use that data. To do this, we provide data literacy and open geospatial trainings and workshops. So those are two things. We connect communities, we invest in data, but lastly, we also focus on online and open source solutions. Now, we acknowledge that technology is important, but in an environment where there's a digital divide, and where the gap between those who have access to technology and those who don't, or those who can understand technology and those who can't, is ever increasing. High-tech solutions often do more harm than good. This goes double for proprietary and closed solutions. At Smart City, we try to create simple but open solutions. One example is our Getting Started card kit. This is a learning and communication tool we co-developed with a regional office of the Department of Interior and Local Government. It provides visual and non-technical overview of really important topics related to data literacy, smart cities, and data-driven governance. It's primarily aimed at local government officials, but essentially anyone interested can use it to learn about these topics. Of course, it's open source. You can actually print your own, download it by visiting our GitHub repository. In terms of the card set, we have two main card types that we introduced, the building blocks. These are the most commonly recurring elements of a data-driven organization or a smart city. They provide key information such as definition, significance, and what kind of projects this building block can be used. They can be combined with what we call getting started cards to encourage creative play and reshaping of ideas. So the getting started cards, they're a practical overview to provide you with information on prerequisites, steps, and building blocks necessary for a successful project. Some building block cards that we have in this card kit include topics on data literacy, open data, and smart cities. While we have cards to get you started on projects related to disaster data, data literacy, and open data, again, among others. Now, we have a guidebook created together with this card kit where we included scenarios on how we think the cards can be used. For example, it can be a communication tool for mayors or local chief executives by using an image-based language similar to street and traffic signs. We feel like it makes it easier to convey information and concepts to constituents. They can also be used as a checklist for policymakers, so they can refer to the cards as guidance to understand if they have all the necessary prerequisites before doing a project. And in terms of planning, we've always seen the cards as an interface between experts and citizens. They are a communication tool and a collaboration tool designed to be easy to understand, easy to use, so that citizens are comfortable enough to take part in the process, understand complex ideas, and of course, share their own ideas as well. And finally, we're working on developing a smart mobility board game that simulates smart mobility challenges to help players understand the complexities of transport problems and encourage them to think critically and creatively about possible solutions. Now, the beauty of this game concept is that players take on different roles and they can always decide to work together so that everyone wins, such as when a city has achieved sustainable transport. But since some of these roles are adversarial in nature, and each of them has their own win and lose conditions, players may actually decide to just focus more on their own interests and make sure that they win, while in the process, others lose. So we'd love to bring this game to life. If you're interested to learn more or in supporting this kind of approach, please don't hesitate to reach out. That's all for now. Once again, my name is Ben. You can find me and Smart City at these links. Maraming salamat. Thank you and gracias.
Thank you, Ben, to share with us those interesting projects. My quickly comments, it's you highlight the important things like human-centered point, how is important you consider the context regarding digital inequalities, etc. And when you're looking for the past, you can see you don't need to discover something magic or maybe create a huge projects with a generative AI, for example, you can have all the opportunities to invest in open source, open data, digital literacy, digital culture. So thank you so much to share those ideas and those projects that are working very well. So move on for our last speaker with Iván, that will guide us regarding the Bogota experience. Please, Iván, feel free to start. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Larissa. Well, thank you very much for having me here. I have also a presentation. Let me share my screen. Sorry. Okay. Can you confirm if you are seeing my screen this moment?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize because my presentation is in Spanish, but I will speak in English anyway. Okay. Well, my idea here is, or I would like to give you an overview of the public policy of Bogota, Smart City Bogota, with a vision of 2032. I think in general, this is a very good experience. It's a very good example of how we can use technology and how we can use data in a big and complex city, a typical Latin American city. And I think it's a good example, or there are good lessons for other countries, for other cities, based on this experience. Then, first of all, let me start with some general ideas about what the Bogota Smart City public policy is. First of all, let me explain a little bit how was the process of designing, or the process of formulating this public policy. In general, or the first thing that I want to say is this public policy was designed by a very participatory process. That was very important for Bogota. We have about 57 different spaces for people participation. We have more than 20,000 comments from people in general from Bogota, citizens, experts, scholars, policymakers in general. We have three sondeos. Sondeos is like we ask people from specific groups, like victims. For example, in Bogota and in Colombia in general, this is an important group of people, victims of the armed conflict. We also have some workshops with public servants. We have a workshop with people from different districts within Bogota. We also we use social networks in order to capture ideas in general from people. We have more than 20,000 participants in this in social networks and activities. And we have also more than 52 workshops with experts, specifically with scholars, with international experts and national experts that are working in these topics. And some conclusions about this process was that definitely smart cities is a concept about including people. It's not only about competitiveness. It's not something only about efficiency, but for a city like Bogota, as many complex and big cities in Latin America and in a developing country, the concept of inclusion of people is crucial in this process of formulation. A smart city also, beyond the intelligent or smart systems, it's also very important the competencies of the citizens. It's also very important, the skills of the citizens. That is crucial also for this process of inclusion of the people in this digital ecosystem. And it's also very important in general, breaking down the silos, as Ben-Hur mentioned, breaking down the silos of information, but also breaking down the silos in the way the government entities work together over the territory. That's some conclusions about this participatory process. And what is in general, the diagnosis and the identification of the key factors of this policy. This is generally speaking, is a theory of change of this public policy. We are focused on three main pillars: data, technology, and innovation. We consider that they are the main factors for transforming a city in a smart city: data, technology, and innovation. We are currently some entities working in these areas. We have, well, Agatha is the data analytics agency of Bogota. Atenea is an agency that mainly work for the development of talent and education in Bogota. And we have in this moment some institutional, or we have an institutional framework that are working in this pillar, but it's not enough. It's not enough, and that's why we define this public policy. And the idea is that all actors of the territory, all actors of the city, citizens, public sector, and the private sector, and entrepreneurships, and in general, the enterprises, big and small, medium enterprises, have to be able to use data, technology, and innovation in a more efficient way to generate efficiency, sustainability, competitiveness, inclusion, and equity, and at the end of the day, a better quality of life. This is, in general, the framework of this policy. We have a general objective and some specific objectives. The general objective of this policy is consolidating Bogota as a smart city, using in a more efficient way data, technology, and innovation in order to generate more solutions to problems of Bogota, and generating, this is very important, opportunity for people to make people's life better. That's the at the end of the day, is the purpose of this policy. And this policy has 7 specific objectives. The first one is closing the digital gap. This is the first step. Is the most important thing, because we have in Bogota some areas that are not enough connected to internet in this moment. Then we have to close this digital gap in terms of internet access, but also in terms of digital literacy. The development of competencies for the smart city. This is more about the abilities that are useful or that are important today for the 4th industrial revolution. The third one is the adoption of emerging technologies for the private sector, for the enterprise of Bogota. The 4th pillar is the use of data. The use of data is how we can have better data and open data for Bogota, for creating a data ecosystem, a more efficient data ecosystem in the city. Public innovation has also been a very important topic in Bogota. Public innovation allows to think differently, to make policy in a different way. That has been very important. Cybersecurity, the 6th pillar, is also a very important topic in this policy. And finally, the necessity of building a governance for this concept of Bogota as a smart city. Then what we have next in the presentation, there are some more specific projects or products that we have to develop in the next 10 years of this policy. Just but I will pass here very quick. But we have some products, as I said, and we have some expected impacts of every single project. I would like to mention maybe here in public innovation. Oh, the minutes pass very fast. I would like to show you some ideas about the governance, the current governance, and the institutional framework that we have in Bogota for implementing this policy. Today we have a commission for digital transformation in Bogota. This commission is led by the mayor. By the mayor, we have a technical secretary that is in charge of the high commission for ICT. That is my role today, and we have in this commission basically all CIOs of the government entities of Bogota have a seat here. We have 3 entities that are the support of this commission. The first one is the Public Innovation Lab. The second one is the Data Analytics Agency, and we have another agency more focused on geospatial data, basically, and some advances in the implementation of this policy. Well, something that we have made in the last 3 years is the strategy of open government for Bogota. Here we created a web platform. We also created a mobile platform for facilitating the interaction between people and the government. We also have Chatico. Chatico is basically a chatbot. We are using this moment a chatbot by WhatsApp, through which people can ask different things to the Bogota's government about paperwork, about events, about tourism, about everything. This is an example, or this is an advance in this in the implementation of this policy. Also, data, the exploitation of data in Bogota. We are working on 360 citizenship. This is basically a customer relationship management software, but specific for the social policy in Bogota. That is very important for improving the social spending of Bogota. Having this information, we also have Bogota Trabaja, Bogota Works. Is something like a Tinder for facilitating the match between enterprises that are demanding workers and the people that are looking for a job in this moment in Bogota. Bogota Te Escucha, Bogota Listen to You, is also an algorithm to identify some requirements that people make to the Bogota Mayor's office through the social networks, to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. This is a way to make easier this work for public servants. We also have different projects. We are working on interoperability of health records. We have an advance of 88% in this interoperability. We are also working on data analytics using the data from the public transportation in Bogota. We are implementing also building information modeling for the construction of infrastructure in Bogota. There are only some examples. Just two slides more, the governance of data infrastructure. This is also a very important issue in Bogota. We think that breaking down the silos regarding data and the action of entities is not only a matter of technology, but it's also a matter of policy. It's also a matter of governance. That's why we are working in this decree. This is a decree of for defining the governance of the data in Bogota. for having clear the roles of the entities, the way in which they can interact and make decisions. And finally, public innovation. Public innovation, well, we receive a support by Bloomberg Philanthropies, and thanks to Bloomberg Philanthropy, we have implemented a methodology, a clear methodology for conducting public innovation processes in Bogota, and we have a lot of, well, many results, and we have many things to show here in public innovation, and we are also working into transform this public innovation lab in a open innovation hub from Bogota. We are working on that. Finally, just maybe the last messages or takeaways from this experience. For a city like Bogota, as any big and complex city in Latin America, becoming a smart city is not just a trivial or something or a snob issue. It's something that is crucial for social, from a social point of view. It's important for the inclusion of people, for creating opportunities for all. That's why Latin American cities or cities everywhere have to work to transform cities to smart cities. The center of, or the main point of any public policy should be people. And for having success in this process, it's important to think. We think so. The first one is the leadership at the highest level. Here, we have some things to show, we have some advances because the mayor has been very involved in this process. And the last lesson, maybe the governance, because at the end of the day, this is not only a matter of technology, but maybe the governance and the public policy maybe could be sometimes most important. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Iván. First of all, my sincere apologize because I forgot to introduce you. Iván is a High Commissioner Technology. He also played important roles at the government for the strategy in digital transformation, digital government in Colombia. Thank you, Iván, to present this ambitious project of Bogota that I could see important things like the ecosystem of data technology that you are building, promote. And also it's interesting to highlight the social digital inclusion that you want to promote as a connective plan for the city. It's very interesting because you also can promote the social digital autonomy through the knowledge and training for the citizen. So thank you so much. I don't want to spend more time with my comments because this is for our audience. That's why I will first encourage our colleagues here, if someone wants to raise the hand or write on the chat. I have some questions, but shall we start with the first question for the Alexandra? Although Ben already answered the chat, I repeat because I guess that some colleagues, that can be some interesting for some colleagues knows about the software that Ben used to in his platform, etc. So Ben, if you can explain for us about the platform, how works the software libre, the free software, etc. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, thank you. So about the question if we primarily use free, libre, or open source software in the project, we try as much as we can. So depending on the kind of work that's needed, we try to prioritize using open source and free or libre software over proprietary. For mapping or geospatial projects, we use QGIS, GRASS, Leaflet, GeoServer, PostGIS, that kind of stack. For basic digital literacy like typing, there's LibreOffice and those kinds of open source office suites. as much as we can, we try to introduce that as well, because we notice that one of the biggest issues of people not using it is just they're just not aware that these things exist. So we also partner with organizations such as the Linux Professional Institute. We did some events with them, helping to basically advocate for more people to use open source instead of relying on proprietary solutions and things like that. Because in some places in our country, there's still a big digital divide, and some people are more familiar with using non-official bootleg versions of proprietary products, even though there are open source, free and open source solutions or alternatives that are available. So aside from using it in our own projects, we also try as much as we can to advocate for its use and get people to use it more in the work that they also do.
Thank you, Ben. I think like,
Come
there
back.
you are.
Yes, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mercedes. It's just technical issues. I'm very sorry about that. So thank you to help me. Mercedes, Ben, thank you for your question. We also have one question to Maria Alexandra. Hong asked us if Maria Alexandra could display and reflect a little bit why the problem regarding open data in Brazil right nowadays, because you have decrease of the use of open data, etc. How you can explain the reasons for it? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. My answer would be political reasons. In Brazil, 4.5 years ago, we elected an extreme right-wing government, and actually, transparency and openness was not an agenda for that government. And I believe that the initiatives resisted, but not without effects. And the people also talk about the implementation of data privacy laws and the impact in open data policies, but I really think that's more than an excuse than a reason. It's I believe the main reason is political issues, is that the government it's not an agenda, but more than that, they were against transparency and openness. So it's hard to resist in that scenario. But Larissa knows the landscape, the country. What do you think, Larissa?
Thank you, Maria Alexandra. Yes, I couldn't agree more with you. We have some problems regarding the open data in Brazil. I use play for another reason. As you have some problems about our last president and elections, disinformation, fake news, etc., some people start using open data to investigate some situations, some conditions, some corruptions, etc. And the government try change our database and remove some information as people asking for access information law to the government, provide us some open data and information like that. So it's kind of a political decision, etc. But I hope so that for the next year, we can increase more our state and our infrastructure for open data in Brazil. So Mercedes have some questions, but I'm happy that Ben told that quite similar in Philippines. Yes, unfortunately, is it? And Mercedes have a question to Iván. Iván, how is the data used for the implementation of Bogota Trabaja works? Sorry. So feel free to answer.
Okay, here, well, in general, basically, it's a very similar algorithm as used by Tinder, for example, or Bumble. This kind of matching apps. Basically, that well, in Bogota we have an entity called Agata. Agata is the data analytics agency. This is a public-private agency that allows the connection between the government entities and technological enterprise. And I think Agata hired, maybe, I don't know if this is a company that work with Google or something like that, or some of the big techs, and the developing of this algorithm was by some of this big tech. But basically, it's something like that. Then we have a platform. We have a web platform. In this moment, it's not a mobile application. It's a web platform in which people, someone that is looking for a job, they have to sign up in this platform with all of this information, with the work history, education, etc. And according to this information, well, the platform generates some matches. And on the other side is the same way. If an enterprise, if you have a company and you are looking for some profiles, you specified your necessities or the type of profile that you are looking for, and the program generates this match with the people that have these skills, and they create an alert. Let me see if this platform is available in this moment. But I can share this platform. Yeah, I will share the platform here in the chat. Okay, Bogota Trabaja.
Thank you and congratulations for the initiative. It's very interesting. When I was in Bogota at Smart City conference, I was in the presentation of this initiative, and I think that is very innovative and good initiative. Yeah, thank you, Iván.
Okay.
Move on for our last question because of the time. Maria Alexandra asked Iván regarding how, does the government use the data generated by citizens, civil society, or enterprises? She asked it about the open government partnership, I guess, or the principle. So feel free to explain us about this role. Thank you.
You are mute, Iván.
Sorry. In this moment, in Bogota, the government is using data generated by public entities. We are working with that. We are working with this kind of the information, and because it's not easy. It's not easy using information generated by citizens or enterprises. There are some bottlenecks. There are some complications to use this kind of data. That's why it's important the governance, no? Because in this moment, the governance that we are building in Bogota is just limited to the public entities. But if we want to use data from private sector or from citizens, we have to think about different mechanisms. No, because you hear, well, if we use data of citizens or private companies, we have to take into account many considerations about data privacy, about the property of the data. There are many issues, and it's very complex. And then in this moment, just data produced by government entities in Bogota.
Yes, thank you, Iván. So Many thanks, everyone, our audience, our speakers for the presentation. I'll try to summarize our contributions for today with some 2 or 3 sentences. I think that the case that you have seen today can show us the way to reach the digital public infrastructure as a public policy for smart cities. We can see how the data practice can be part of the data infrastructure in the city and promote citizen partnership, engagement, support urban resilience and other kind of problems. But also you can see how the infrastructure can be open, as Ben highlighted to us, and support open source technology as a digital public infrastructure. And finally, the case from the Bogota can show us like a robust and ambitious projects
I can hear Larissa, but I don't know if the problem is mine or.
No, I think that he had a bad connection, right?
Hmm.
No problem. We are on time. So I would like to say for Larissa, thank you everyone to stay today. Sorry, Larissa, go ahead. Can you hear us or not? Don't worry, I can continue. We are on time, and all of us have a lot of things to do. So thank you, Iván. Thank you, Maria Alexandra, and thank you, Ben, for being today. It was very interesting meeting, and thank you all the members for participating in a new implementation working group meeting. Thank you, Larissa, for moderate all this session, and welcome to our group. See you all in the next month, and have a nice night or afternoon. So bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye all.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.